The departure. The massive Terran diplomatic vessel Prometheus disengaged from Galactic Central Station with a precision that belied its enormous size. No fanfare accompanied its departure, no ceremonial broadcasts, no formal proclamations, just the silent detachment of docking clamps and the subtle blue glow of gravity drives activating. Captain Ilara Reed stood on the command deck, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding her. She watched as the station grew smaller on the view screen, its crystalline spires and bioluminescent domes diminishing into the void. Docking clamps released. Gravity drives at standard thrust. "We are clear of Central Station's navigation corridor, Captain," reported Commander Chen, his voice steady despite the historical significance of this moment. "Acknowledged," Ilara replied, straightening her midnight blue uniform bearing the insignia of the United Earth Fleet. "Set course for the Alpha Centauri jump gate. We're going home." Home. The word carried weight now. After 300 years of partnership with the Galactic Council, humanity was severing ties completely. Ilara remembered the council meeting that had finalized their decision, the indignation in Ambassador Raya's voice as she addressed the assembly. "For 3 centuries, we have contributed our innovation, our resources, our lives to this council. Yet you continue to restrict our development, dismiss our concerns, and treat us as dangerous children rather than equal partners. The Council has voted against human interests 17 times in the past decade alone. Today, Earth and all her colonies formally withdraw from the Galactic Council." The chamber had erupted in chaos, some aliens celebrating, others protesting, a few even begging the humans to reconsider. But humanity's decision was unanimous. The indignities had accumulated to a breaking point. "Captain," Commander Chen's voice pulled Ilara from her memories, "we're receiving an unauthorized transmission from the station." Council diplomatic frequencies. Ilara's jaw tightened. "Let's hear it." The holographic display flickered, materializing into the elongated, silvery face of Zeth Torin, senior representative of the Ardani Collective and one of the few council members who had consistently advocated for human interests. "Captain Reed," the alien's multi-tone voice resonated through the bridge. "Please reconsider this action. The Council is making a grave mistake, but your departure will have consequences none can foresee." Ilara studied the alien's face, the iridescent eyes conveying genuine concern. "Councillor Zeth Torin, our decision is final. The withdrawal treaty has been processed and archived. Humanity is charting its own path now." "You don't understand." Zeth Toran leaned closer to the transmission device, voice dropping to an urgent whisper. "There are threats beyond Council space that we've contained only through your military innovations. The Ardeni remember the time before humans. We remember what lurks in the deep dark." Ilara felt a chill at the councillor's words, but her resolve remained firm. "Then perhaps the Council should have valued our contributions instead of fearing our potential." "The Council fears what they do not understand," Zeth Toran replied. "And humans evolve faster than any species we've encountered. Your technological adaptation rate is unsettling to many. But that adaptability is precisely what we need now." "Your concerns are noted, Councillor," Ilara said formally. "But humanity has unanimously decided. We wish the Council prosperity in our absence." She signaled Chen to terminate the connection. "Captain," her first officer said quietly once the alien's image had vanished, "do you think Zeth Torin was being truthful about these threats?" Ilara's gaze returned to the view screen, where the station was now just a glimmering speck against the backdrop of stars. "I don't know. But if such threats exist, the Council has withheld crucial information. Yet another betrayal of trust." She turned to face her crew, all humans who had lived most of their lives in Council space. "Set course for the jump gate. We have 300 colony ships to escort home." On Central Station, Zeth Torin watched the human vessel depart, its sleek form accelerating with a grace that other species struggled to match even after centuries of technological exchange. "They're really leaving," came a gravelly voice from behind. Zeth Toren turned to see Admiral Vrax of the Toren Hegemony, the Council's primary military commander. The massive, gray-skinned alien's 4 arms were crossed in a posture of disapproval. "Yes, Admiral. Against my strongest recommendation." Vrax snorted, a sound like stones grinding together. "Good riddance. The humans have been disrupting Council harmony since they arrived, always questioning protocols, demanding special considerations, challenging authority. They've also defeated 3 interstellar threats that Council forces couldn't contain," Zeth Toren countered, tendrils curling in frustration. "The Swarm incursion, the Void Plague, the Mechanic Collective, all neutralized through human tactical innovations. Brutal, unorthodox methods," Vrax dismissed with a wave of his upper right hand. "Their obsession with individual decision-making on the battlefield creates chaos. Proper warfare requires strategic precision, unified action." Zeth Toren's silver skin darkened, a sign of emotional intensity among the Ardani. "Their chaos, as you call it, has saved billions of lives. The humans possess something our military strategists can't quantify: adaptability under pressure. We won't miss their insubordination," Vrax insisted. "The Council will function more efficiently without constant human objections and demands for policy revisions. Efficiency isn't effectiveness." "Admiral." Zeth Toren moved toward the observation portal, watching as the human vessel activated its FTL drive, disappearing in a flash of displaced spacetime. "I fear we will discover the difference too late." Across Council space, the pattern repeated. Human embassies emptied, trade outposts shut down, military cooperation centers closed. 300 years of integration unraveled in weeks. In the shipyards orbiting Centauri Prime, Earth's largest colony, Director Maya Okafor oversaw the final preparations of the Solar Reclamation Fleet, 50 massive colony ships and their escorts, ready to depart for Earth. "All systems check complete," Director reported Chief Engineer Abara. "The fleet is ready for jump gate sequence." Maya nodded, scanning the readiness reports on her tablet. Behind her, through the panoramic windows of the command center, she could see the sprawling shipyards that had once been the pride of human Council cooperation. Now they were being systematically dismantled, all proprietary human technology packed and loaded for transport back to Sol system. "What about the defense grid?" she asked. "Deactivated as per protocol," Abara confirmed. "The Council will need to implement their own security measures now." Maya felt a momentary pang of guilt. Centauri had been protected by human-designed defense systems for generations. The Centaurian natives, though initially wary of human colonization, had become trusted allies. Leaving them vulnerable seemed cruel. "We offered them the defense schematics," Abara said, reading her expression. "They refused. Said Council regulations prohibit unauthorized technology integration. Even when we're leaving." Maya shook her head. "Their bureaucracy will be their downfall." Her communicator chimed. "Director Okafor, this is Captain Reed aboard the Prometheus. We've cleared Central Station and are proceeding to rendezvous coordinates." "Acknowledged, Captain. The Centauri fleet is prepared for departure. We await your arrival to begin jump sequence." As Maya ended the transmission, a priority alert flashed across her screen. A private message from Dr. Eli Novak, Earth's chief xenobiologist and one of the architects of the withdrawal strategy. It contained just 5 words. "Project Ark is nearly complete." Maya quickly deleted the message. Project Ark remained humanity's most closely guarded secret, the true reason behind their withdrawal, known only to a select few. If the Council discovered its existence, they would consider it an act of war. But humanity had seen what was coming, the ancient threat that Zeth Toren had obliquely referenced. They had discovered evidence of it 10 years ago and had been quietly preparing ever since. The Council's limitations on human technological development had become an unacceptable hindrance to survival. "Begin evacuation sequence," Maya ordered, pushing aside her reflections. "All personnel to departure stations. We leave nothing behind but goodwill." As the human presence throughout Council space diminished to nothing, other species watched with emotions ranging from celebration to trepidation. Few understood the true implications of humanity's absence. Fewer still recognized the void they left behind, a void that would soon be filled. In the darkness between galaxies, ancient sensors detected the change. Defenses weakened, monitoring reduced. The hunters stirred from hibernation, sensing opportunity. The time for harvest approached once more. The void they left. 6 months after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council convened for its quarterly economic assessment. The Grand Chamber on Central Station, designed to accommodate representatives of over 200 species, seemed unusually empty despite full attendance. High Chancellor Elzer of the Volith Conclave called the session to order, his gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns denoting formal authority. The Council recognizes Trade Minister Kolvosh of the Mercantile Worlds. Elzer announced, gelatinous appendages gesturing toward a small avian alien whose iridescent plumage was dulled with stress. Esteemed representatives, Kolvosh began, nervous talons clicking against the polished podium. I must report that economic disruption following human withdrawal has exceeded our worst projections. 17 major trade routes have collapsed without human logistical support. Manufacturing output has declined by 34% across Council space. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The mercantile worlds have been among the loudest voices supporting human restriction, claiming that human businesses were too aggressive, too innovative, too disruptive to established trade patterns. Furthermore, Kolvosh continued, military-grade technology production has fallen by 68%. The humans, it seems, were responsible for a disproportionate share of technological advancement despite our limitations on their research. This is temporary, declared Supreme Director Kirks of the Hegemony Bloc, her exoskeletal frame clattering with dismissive confidence. Our economies will adapt. The disruption merely highlights our over-reliance on a single species. Such dependency was dangerous. Zeth Turan, who had been unnaturally quiet since humanity's departure, finally spoke. Is it not telling that a species comprising less than 5% of our population contributed over 60% of our military innovation? Perhaps we should question our policies rather than celebrating their departure. The humans were reckless, Kirks countered. Their obsession with advancement without proper ethical oversight threatened stability. Yes, we face adjustments, but we've removed an existential risk. The debate might have continued, but a priority alert interrupted the proceedings. Admiral Vrax entered the chamber, his massive form moving with uncharacteristic urgency. Forgive the interruption, Chancellor. The military commander's voice was grim. We have a situation developing in the outer rim sectors. Chancellor Elzer's bioluminescence shifted to patterns of concern. What kind of situation, Admiral? We've lost contact with Outpost Sigma 9. Then Ketro's colony. Then the entire Verlian system, Vrax reported, activating the chamber's holographic display. 17 installations in total, silenced within the past 30 standard hours. The display showed a map of Council space, with a growing shadow spreading from the outer rim toward the more densely populated core regions. Equipment failure, solar activity, suggested Kirks. Negative. Before losing contact, Verlian transmitted this. Vrax replied. The hologram shifted to show grainy footage from a planetary defense station. Massive objects, geometrically perfect, obsidian black, descended toward the planet. They defied easy classification, not ships in any conventional sense, but clearly artificial constructs of immense size. Energy weapons of unknown configuration fired from their surfaces, overwhelming planetary shields designed to withstand asteroid impacts. The footage ended abruptly. Stunned silence filled the chamber. What are they? Chancellor Elzer finally asked, his form now pale with fear. Unknown, Vrax admitted. No match in Council records. I've dispatched the 7th Fleet to investigate and establish a containment perimeter. Zeth Turan's silver skin had darkened to nearly black. Check the Ardani ancient records, he said quietly. Search reference: the Harvesters. All eyes turned to the Ardani representative. You know of these entities? Vrax demanded. Not firsthand. The records are fragmentary, myths and legends mostly, tales of geometric destroyers that emerge from deep space, every few millennia to harvest advanced civilizations. Myths, scoffed Kirks. We need science, not superstition. The Ardani civilization is 17,000 years old, Zeth Torin countered. Our myths often contain historical truths, obscured by time. If these are indeed the Harvesters, the humans knew. Impossible, Vrax declared. How could humans possess knowledge our combined civilizations lack? Because they look for what might kill them, Zeth Toran replied simply. While we focused on stability and preservation, humans constantly prepared for worst-case scenarios. They called it paranoia. We called it disruptive thinking. But they discovered something that prompted their withdrawal. Chancellor Elzer's form rippled with distress. Are you suggesting the humans abandoned us deliberately, knowing this threat was approaching? No, Zeth Toren's voice was heavy. I believe they tried to warn us, but we dismissed their concerns as another excuse to exceed technological restrictions. So they left to protect themselves when we refused to prepare. The chamber erupted in accusations and denials. Amid the chaos, Admiral Vrax received another priority communication. His expression darkened as he listened to his earpiece. Silence. The Admiral roared, his voice cutting through the tumult. The Seventh Fleet has engaged the unknown entities near the Verlian system. The holographic display updated in real time, showing Council warships, the pride of their combined military might, approaching the geometric invaders. Energy weapons fired, missiles launched, fighter squadrons deployed in textbook formation. The Council representatives watched in horror as their ships' weapons had minimal effect on the alien constructs. The invaders responded with concentrated energy beams that cut through Council warships like light through glass. Fighter squadrons vanished in silent flashes of expanding debris. By the eternal void, whispered Kolvosh. Those are our most advanced vessels. The Seventh Fleet is reporting total systems failure. Vrax reported, his voice hollow with disbelief. Some kind of energy pulse. They're dead in space. The display showed the remaining Council ships drifting powerless as the geometric entities enveloped them. Then, one by one, the ships simply disintegrated, not exploding, but systematically broken down into component materials that were absorbed into the massive black structures. They're not just destroying, Zeth Toran observed. They're consuming, converting matter and energy for their own use. This is consistent with the Harvester legends. The Admiral's communication console chimed again. Multiple incursions reported, he announced, voice tight with controlled panic. Similar entities have appeared in the Proxima sector, the Tauran Reach, and approaching the mercantile core worlds. How did they penetrate so deeply into Council space without detection? Demanded Chancellor Elzer. Admiral Vrax's expression was grim. The early warning network in those sectors was primarily human technology. Systems we couldn't fully maintain after their departure. Understanding dawned across the chamber. The technological gaps left by humanity's withdrawal had created blind spots in their defenses, vulnerabilities that these invaders had somehow identified and exploited. We need to re-establish contact with Earth, Zeth Toran declared. Whatever grievances exist between us, this threat transcends political differences. Agreed. Chancellor Elzer's form pulsed with urgent patterns. Admiral Vrax, assemble a diplomatic vessel immediately. Councillor Zeth Toran will lead the mission to Sol system. There's a problem, Vrax said slowly. We've been trying to contact Earth since the first attacks. All conventional communications channels are silent. Quantum entanglement messages receive no response. It's as if they're gone, Zeth Toran finished, or they don't want to be found. The implications hung heavy in the chamber. Had humanity abandoned the galaxy entirely? fled to some unknown region, or had they already fallen to these geometric invaders? "We must try," insisted Zeth Torin. "I volunteer to lead the mission myself." "Very well," Chancellor Elzer conceded. "But our primary focus must be defense. Admiral Vrax, implement emergency protocols across all Council worlds. Begin evacuation of systems in the projected path of these harvesters." As the Council frantically organized their response, a sense of bitter irony pervaded the chamber. For centuries, they had feared and restricted human advancement, concerned about destabilizing influence. Now, the absence of that very innovation had left them vulnerable to an enemy they couldn't comprehend. The void left by humanity's departure had become a wound in the galaxy's defenses, and through that wound, an ancient nightmare had returned. The approaching storm. 3 weeks after the initial attacks, the situation had deteriorated beyond the Council's darkest predictions. The diplomatic vessel Concordat, carrying Zeth Torin, and a mixed-species crew of diplomats and scientists, pushed its engines to maximum capacity as they approached the Sol system. "Final jump calculations complete," announced Navigator Trill, her tentacles dancing across holographic controls. "Sol coordinates locked." Zeth Toran nodded, his silver skin reflecting the blue glow of the ship's jump drive indicators. "Proceed." The Concordat shuddered slightly as it tore through the fabric of spacetime, emerging into the Sol system with a flash of displaced energy. Zeth Toran moved to the forward observation deck, expecting to see Earth's familiar blue sphere, perhaps, defended by human warships. Instead, he found emptiness. "Scan the system," he ordered, his voice tight with disbelief. The science officer, a Volith named Marin, ran preliminary scans, his gelatinous form pulsing with confusion. "I'm detecting the expected stellar body, correct planetary masses for Mars, Venus, Jupiter, but Earth shows anomalous readings." "Explain," Zeth Toran demanded. "The planet is there, but different. Atmospheric composition altered. No electromagnetic emissions consistent with civilization. No orbital structures. No movement of vessels." Marin paused, rechecking his instruments. "It appears abandoned." "Impossible," Zeth Toran whispered. 11 billion humans couldn't simply vanish. "Continuing scans," Marin reported, detecting residual energy signatures consistent with massive jump drive activations, hundreds of them, originating from various points in the system. Based on decay rates, these jumps occurred approximately 6 months ago. 6 months, exactly when humanity had withdrawn from the Council. They hadn't just left Council space, they had evacuated their home system entirely. "Are there any automated systems still functioning? Any communication arrays?" Zeth Toran asked. Marin adjusted the scanning parameters. One signal detected. "Weak, automated transmission from the Earth's moon." "Direct us there," Zeth Toran ordered, "and prepare a landing team." The lunar base had once been humanity's gateway to the stars, a sprawling complex of domes, hangars, and research facilities. Now it stood empty, operating on minimal power, maintained by automated systems alone. Zeth Torin led the landing party through silent corridors, their footsteps echoing hollowly. Emergency lighting cast everything in a pale blue glow, giving the abandoned facility an ethereal quality. "This way," directed Marin, following the signal to its source. Central Command Center. They entered a circular room filled with inactive consoles. At its center stood a simple holographic projector, emitting a pulsing light that seemed to brighten as they approached. "Proximity sensors active," Marin noted. "The system recognizes visitors." The projector flickered, and a human figure materialized. A middle-aged woman with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair, wearing a uniform Zeth Toran recognized from Earth's Science Division. "Greetings," the hologram said. "I am an automated message system. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the first visitors to Sol system since humanity's departure." "Interactive hologram," Marin whispered. programmed to respond to various scenarios. Zeth Torin stepped forward. This is Counselor Zeth Torin of the Galactic Council. We seek humanity's assistance against a grave threat. Where have they gone? The hologram smiled sadly. I am programmed to recognize you, Counselor Zeth Torin. You were designated as a friend to humanity in our records. Unfortunately, I cannot disclose the location of Earth's evacuation fleet. This information was classified at the highest level. Why did they leave? Zeth Torin pressed. Their home world. Project Exodus was implemented following discovery of the Harbinger signal 10 years ago, the hologram explained. Deep space telescopes detected systematic elimination of civilizations in the Andromeda Galaxy by entities we designated as harvesters. Mathematical models predicted their arrival in the Milky Way within a decade. Zeth Torin's skin darkened with emotion. They knew. They tried to warn the Council. Correct, the hologram confirmed. Ambassador Rice presented evidence to the Council's Security Committee 8 years ago. The committee dismissed the findings as inconclusive and speculative. Further research requests were denied as exceeding humanity's technology restriction parameters. The revelation struck Zeth Torin like a physical blow. He had been on medical leave during that committee session, unaware of the warning humanity had tried to provide. So they left us to die, said Trill bitterly. Incorrect, the hologram responded. Humanity attempted cooperation for 8 years. When cooperation failed, the difficult decision was made to withdraw and implement independent defensive measures. I am authorized to provide technical specifications for defensive systems that may offer limited protection against harvester technology. A data crystal ejected from a console near the hologram projector. This contains schematics for shield modifications, weapons calibrations, and energy dampening systems designed to counteract observed harvester capabilities, the hologram explained. These designs represent humanity's final contribution to Council welfare. Zeth Torin took the crystal, his hands trembling slightly. Can these systems stop the harvesters? Negative, the hologram replied with brutal honesty. These modifications will only delay harvester advancement. Complete neutralization of the threat requires technologies forbidden under Council restrictions. Where did humanity go? Zeth Torin asked again, desperate now. Please, billions are dying. We need their help. The hologram flickered, as if struggling with programming constraints. I cannot disclose their location. However, I am authorized to transmit a quantum-entangled message. If conditions permit, they may respond. Hope flared in Zeth Torin's heart. Yes, please. Tell them the Council formally requests their assistance. All prior restrictions on human technological development are rescinded. We offer any terms they require. The hologram nodded. Message transmitted. Be advised that response time is unpredictable. Humanity's evacuation plan involved significant distances. How significant? Morin asked. That information is classified. The hologram replied. This facility will remain operational for 5 standard years, maintaining broadcast of this message. After that, power systems will fail. Zeth Torin stared at the data crystal in his hand. Humanity's parting gift, insufficient to save them but emblematic of humans' persistent attempts to help even after rejection. We should have listened, he whispered. Indeed, the hologram agreed with surprising gentleness. It was humanity's greatest frustration with the Council. Your unwillingness to prepare for low-probability, high-impact threats. Humans call it planning for the worst while hoping for the best. As the diplomatic team prepared to depart with their bittersweet prize, Zeth Torin turned back to the hologram. Is there anything else you can tell us? Anything that might help us survive? The hologram's expression became solemn. Only this. Humanity has not abandoned the galaxy. They are preparing. Whether they will return in time, that remains to be determined. When the Concordat returned to Council space 2 weeks later, they found a dramatically altered political landscape. Over 30 systems had fallen to the harvesters. The geometric entities had established a pattern. They would enter a system, neutralize defenses, then methodically break down technology and infrastructure, and sometimes entire planets, absorbing the materials into their obsidian structures, which grew larger with each conquest. Central Station had been transformed into a crowded refugee hub, with ships from fallen worlds arriving hourly. The once Grand Council chamber now served as an emergency command center, where Admiral Vrax coordinated what remained of their military forces. The defense modifications work. Vrax confirmed after reviewing the data crystal's contents. They've extended survival time against harvester attacks from minutes to hours. Enough to evacuate more civilians, at least, but not enough to stop them, Zeth Toren stated. No, Vrax admitted, his massive frame seeming diminished by exhaustion. Their technology is beyond us. They adapt to our countermeasures within hours. It's as if they can analyze and understand any technological approach instantly. Chancellor Elzer, who had barely left the command center in weeks, joined their conversation. What of the humans? Did you find them? They've gone, Zeth Toren replied. Evacuated their entire system months ago. The hologram sent a message requesting help, but they left us, Vrax finished bitterly. After all the resources this council invested in their development. Zeth Toren's skin darkened with anger. They tried to warn us. 8 years ago, they'd brought evidence of this threat to the Security Committee, and we dismissed them. We denied their requests for research that might have saved billions. The revelation sent shockwaves through the command center. Is this true, Admiral? Chancellor Elzer demanded. Vrax couldn't meet the Chancellor's gaze. The evidence was circumstantial. Their projections seemed alarmist, and the technologies they wanted to develop violated core Council principles on weapons research. And now we pay the price for our caution, Zeth Toren said quietly. The humans saw this coming. They prepared as best they could under our restrictions. When they realized we would not act, they saved themselves. Abandoning their duty to the Council, Vrax insisted. Their duty? Zeth Toren laughed bitterly. We denied them equal representation, restricted their research, dismissed their warnings. What duty did they owe us after such treatment? Before the argument could escalate, an alert sounded. A junior officer approached, her scaled skin pale with fear. Admiral, scanners have detected harvester vessels approaching Central Station. Estimated arrival, 14 hours. Silence fell across the command center as the implications sank in. Central Station, the heart of Council civilization for millennia, would soon face the same fate as dozens of fallen worlds. Implement full evacuation protocols, Chancellor Elzer ordered, his gelatinous form pulsing with urgency. All non-essential personnel and refugees must board evacuation ships immediately. Where will they go? Zeth Toren asked. The harvesters have cut off most escape corridors. We're being systematically boxed in. We still have jump capability to the fringe worlds, Vrax said. It's not ideal, but it's survival. Chancellor Elzer finished. The Council must continue, even if only in exile. As chaos erupted around them, officials rushing to organize evacuations, military personnel preparing last-ditch defenses, Zeth Toren found himself drawn to the observation deck. From there, he could see the endless stream of refugee ships arriving, desperate people fleeing worlds that no longer existed. He thought of the human hologram's final words. Humanity has not abandoned the galaxy. They are preparing. Preparing what? And would it matter now, with the Council's heart about to be consumed by these implacable enemies? In the vast darkness beyond the station, something moved, a distortion in space-time, too large to be a conventional jump emergence. Zeth Toren's breath caught in his throat. Had the harvesters arrived early? Instead, something entirely unexpected appeared. Humanity's return. The space before Central Station tore open, not in a single point as with conventional jump drives, but in a massive circular rift that dwarfed the station itself. From within this swirling portal emerged ships unlike anything the Council had ever seen. They were unmistakably human in design, aesthetic, practical, angular, without the biological integration favored by most Council species, but of a scale and configuration that defied known engineering principles. The lead vessel alone stretched nearly 20 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull composed of interlocking geometric panels that seemed to shift and reconfigure even as Zeth Toran watched. "By the eternal void," whispered a voice beside him. Admiral Vrax had joined him on the observation deck, his 4 eyes wide with astonishment. Zeth Toran's communication implant chimed urgently. "This is Chancellor Elzer to all Council representatives. Report to emergency session immediately. We are being hailed by a human fleet." The Council chamber, so recently converted to a military command center, quickly filled with representatives of surviving worlds. Holographic connections accommodated those unable to attend physically. An atmosphere of desperate hope permeated the room. Chancellor Elzer's form pulsed with barely controlled emotion. Open communication channel. The chamber's central holographic projector activated, displaying a human woman in a uniform unlike the standard Earth fleet design Zeth Toran remembered. Sleek black with silver geometric patterns that subtly shifted across its surface. Reminiscent, he realized with a chill, of the Harvesters themselves. "This is Admiral Ilara Reed of the United Earth Defense Force," the woman announced. "We received your distress signal. The Exodus fleet has returned." A wave of recognition washed over Zeth Toran. The same captain who had led humanity's withdrawal 6 months ago now returned with whatever these impossible ships represented. "Admiral Reed," Chancellor Elzer began, his tone balanced between diplomatic formality and desperate relief. "The Council welcomes humanity's return in this hour of crisis. Your assistance is urgently required." "So I see," Reed replied, her expression grave. "Our long-range sensors detected at least 17 Harvester entities converging on Central Station. We've arrived with limited time to implement evacuation and defensive measures." "You know these invaders," Vrax stated, not bothering to hide his accusation. "We discovered evidence of their existence 10 years ago," Reed confirmed. "Ancient signals from the Andromeda Galaxy showed systematic destruction of civilizations there. When we brought this evidence to the Council, our concerns were dismissed." Chancellor Elzer's form rippled with shame. "A grievous error in judgment, Admiral. One we have paid for dearly. But how have humans developed technology capable of confronting these entities? The vessels you arrive in exceed any known engineering principles." A slight smile crossed Reed's face. "When we left Council space, we were free from technological restrictions for the first time in 3 centuries. Humanity unleashed its full innovative potential. What you see represents just 6 months of uninhibited development." The implications stunned the assembled representatives. Had human potential been so drastically underestimated, or had the Council's restrictions been that severe? "We've developed weapons and defenses specifically calibrated to Harvester technology," Reed continued. "Their primary advantage was technological superiority that allowed them to overwhelm conventional defenses. We've negated that advantage." "How?" demanded Vrax. "Our finest scientists couldn't even understand their energy signatures." "By thinking differently," Reed replied simply. "Harvesters operate on principles of technological consumption and adaptation. They analyze, absorb, and improve upon encountered technologies.